Hi, and welcome to A Considered Craft, a podcast about the choices we make as we make. My name is Jess, and this is primarily a podcast about knitting, but occasionally it's about some other fiber-related or crafting activities as well. I really wanted to talk with you today mostly about one project, which is the sweater that I am wearing. This is the Ruka Pullover by Sari Nordlund. And there was such beautiful light outside today. I really wanted to come and film this outside. So my apologies up front if you can hear some background noises, or I think there's a plane that just went by overhead. So I'll try to take those out as much as possible in post-production. But really thought the light was just too fantastic to not do this outside. So what can I tell you about this pattern? Well, number one is, if you haven't already, please check out Sari Nordlund's YouTube channel, where I suspect she will also be talking about this pattern. I was a test knitter, so I am recording this before any episode that I've seen where she's really talked about it in detail, but usually she does an episode where she describes it from a design perspective. But I will tell you about it from my perspective as a knitter and a test knitter. It is an unbelievably beautiful, really stunning, sort of Icelandic inspired, top-down, yoked colorwork pattern. I've chosen to knit this in Lanny's Lana, which is a 4-ply worsted weight Rambouillet yarn that is connected in with the fiber shed in California. So these are all from a climate beneficial ranch, and these are 3 natural shades of the same wool. So the natural color, which is sometimes also called snow, is this lightest one. The sort of grayish color here, this is called shale. So that's my main color, is shale. And then the darkest color, which is quite a dark brown, almost a black from farther away, is called obsidian. And the shale and the obsidian are both from the 2019 clip. I think the natural color can come and be mixed across years. I'm not entirely sure about that, but it wasn't labeled with the year of the shearing in the same way that the obsidian and the shale were. So the fact that these are all the natural colors from the same sheep, I think might have something to do with why they just look so stunning together. So I chose to make the main color the sort of medium of the two. In Sari's sample, and probably what you will see on her project page, she's chosen a much darker color for the main color, and then 2 other, like a medium and a light. But I know that I am more likely to wear this sweater with a darker colored pair of pants, and so I wanted either the lighter or the medium color to be the main body, and I went with the sort of medium color. And I'm super happy with how this turned out. So some things to know about the design. I did a tubular cast on for the neck and came down, and then you start increasing and doing the color changes pretty much right away, but you're only ever working with 2 colors at the same time. So if you've considered making a colorwork sweater in this sort of Icelandic style, but want to make sure you only are dealing with 2 colors at a time, this would be a good one to go with. The other thing that, from a design perspective, might make this an easier color work pattern if you are newer to it or just want something a little bit easier, is that there's only a handful of rounds where you have to catch your floats, meaning there are long distances between. So I think it's like here is an example. If I had more than about 4 or 5 stitches of a single color before I used the other color again, you can do a technique called catching your float on the back side of the garment, which essentially locks that stitch in place and helps keep your tension even, and helps create, less chance of like catching your finger on a really long piece of yarn on the inside. I will show you the inside and the float so you can see what that looks like in case you're interested. And so you come down, and I pretty much followed the pattern as written with a couple of minor exceptions. One exception is that, you know, after I separated for the body and the sleeves, I did what I typically do, which is I do the sleeves next. I don't do the whole body and then do the sleeves, which is how technically the pattern is written. So I like to do the sleeves. You'll see there's also a small amount of color work detail here just above the cuff, and I did a tubular bind off as well. I also like to do my sweaters sort of bracelet length. It's a much more practical length for me, but obviously that's a very adjustable you know, piece of the pattern. And also I would say it's sort of a traditional sleeve design. There's nothing, it's not a skinny sleeve, it's not like where it's ballooned and then all comes in. It's very evenly spaced decreases as you go down. The thing where I more deviated exactly from the pattern is that once I separated for the sleeve and the body, you know, I was really able to try this on, and I chose a size based on my upper bust measurement, which is around 34 to 35 right now. But my full bust measurement is about a 43. And so this is always a challenge for me when I'm choosing sweater sizes that are so often based on the full bust measurement. I find they're much too big up at the top in order to fit me through the rest. So I chose to do a size 2, which was designed to fit my upper bust measurement and be on the lower end of the range of ease that she suggests. But when I separated for the body and the sleeves, after I was done with the sleeves and I picked the body back up, I did some increasing just on the front side of the garment in pretty rapid succession. So the detailed notes are on my Ravelry page, but I did, I think, 2 increases right next to each other on the next round, and then I did a straight round, and then I did 2 increases again, and then I think I still felt like I needed 1 more increase. So so those were the increases that I did, and then I felt like it was the appropriate circumference for me, and then I did not decrease those back out again. I just continued and went straight down. And I was a little bit questioning the length I was going to do. I wasn't sure, did I want this to be a crop? Did I not want it to be a crop? How long did I want it to go? And the fabric is a little bit heavier than I think what she designed with. And so I also wanted to be conscious that I think that this is going to lengthen a little bit as I wear it, simply from the weight of the yarn. So I'm going to stand up, but I'll also insert some photos in here so you can get a better idea. But this is where I ended up stopping, which is about maybe mid-hip for me. And because I was so unsure what I was going to do for the length, I actually left the stitches on. Oh no, I was going to do that. I didn't do that. I take that back. I did a regular bind off. And by regular, I mean I knit the knits, I purled the purls, and then I just leapfrogged the stitch off. And then I did not detach it from the ball of yarn. So I blocked it with the ball of yarn still attached and with a very easy to unravel cast off edge. In part because I wanted to see like how much was blocking going to change. I blocked my swatch, but I don't feel like I get a great idea of exactly in a sweater like this if I want to fine tune the length. So I'm pretty happy with the length, so I decided to cut off the ball of yarn and weave in the ends. However, I'm going to wear it for a little bit and I'm going to hold that ball of yarn to the side because I might actually shorten this a little bit and then do a tubular bind off so that it matches the cast on edge and my sleeve edges, and it's just such a beautiful bind off. But I did not want to do that before I was set on the length, because undoing a tubular bind off is sort of really challenging, and I didn't want to do it. So, so that's where I'm at with this sweater. I have worn this probably 3 or 4 times since I finished it. You know, just errands around town, being at the post office, and every time I have worn it, somebody has given me a compliment on it and said, "Oh, I love your sweater." And the woman at the post office the other day said, "Did you get that at LL Bean? It's so pretty." Which, if you're not based in North America, LL Bean is like a big outdoor, sporty sort of retailer here that sells a lot of things that look like this could have been in the LL Bean catalog, and LL Bean has been around forever. So I took it as a compliment, and I've just really enjoyed wearing it. It is definitely on the warmer side. You know, you've got a double layer of material here from the color work, but yeah, I'm super happy with the color that I chose because I've worn this with black pants. I've worn this with sort of medium color denim. I'm wearing it today with some gray sort of outdoorsy pants. So it's got a lot of utility. I think if I had like a dressier pair of cream pants, I think that would actually look really stunning. Because this is a deep chocolate brown, I think I could also wear it. I don't think I have any chocolate brown pants, but I think it could be worn. I think actually something really that would look really nice is to wear this with like a really contrasty pair of pants. I have some that are like almost a copper, like a copper penny color, and I think this would look really great with those as well. So by choosing a bunch of neutrals, I feel like I've created a really long-lasting, timeless garment that was really fun to knit. I'll say a couple more things about the yarn. So I found this yarn at the Black Squirrel in Berkeley, California. Hi, Maya, if you're watching, where the proprietor has just put together an absolutely wonderful and welcoming yarn shop. So if you're ever in the Bay Area, I would encourage you to take a trip over to the Black Squirrel and experience the environment that they've created there. And I went in and I said what I was looking for. I was, you know, just been chosen for this test knit and what I was looking for. And we got into a conversation and I mentioned that I was particularly interested in yarns and farms that were connected into sustainability, that were focused on animal welfare and things like that. And she pulled this yarn out of kind of a top cubby. And I had read a little bit about Lanny's Lana because of their connection with the fiber shed in Northern California, and I was so excited to see the yarn in person. So we looked at a few different, I think there were 4 natural shades that were available of this yarn, and we sort of looked at them in combination, and this is what I ended up going with. I ended up actually not buying enough of the main color. I underestimated how much I was going to need, and so it was lovely. They actually sent me some additional yarn, and I have plans for what to do with the leftovers, which I will include in my next regular podcast episode. I hope to cast that on. It's a really interesting cowl pattern that color blocks and uses something called an intarsia twist. So I have a lot of leftovers of the obsidian, the darkest color, and of this shale. And I might even have enough of the cream. So I'm going to check and decide. I'm going to definitely use the obsidian, and still TBD whether I'm going to do it with the shale or the snow, the natural white. But some fun things to do with anything you might have left over as well. And just a stunning color work pattern. So the Ruka sweater by Sari Nordlund. I think it's coming out, this is December 22nd, 2022 that I'm recording this, and I think that the pattern might be coming out either late December or early January. I'm not entirely sure, but soon-ish. And hope that you will check it out. And if there are any questions or anything that you have about the way that I've done it or the modifications I made, I'm happy to chat about that. Or if there are any other things about the sweater you would like to hear me talk about, I will check the comments and reference that before I record my next regular podcast episode, which will include information about a number of recently finished objects and some works in progress. So I could talk about something there if you're interested. I think that's it. Enjoy your knitting, making, crocheting, embroidering, whatever is bringing you joy these days, and take care. Bye. I forgot to mention one thing, which was a new to me technique that I found for catching the floats, holding both yarns in my left hand, which is my preferred way of colorwork knitting. I took a little video of me doing this and explaining it, so I'm going to pop that in right here. So I'm working on this color work that has a few places where there's a long stretch of a single color, so I need to catch my float. And in this example, there's actually 2 rounds next to each other where you have to catch a long float. So I'm going to show you how I do it while holding both yarns in my left hand. That allows me to also not put the float catch in the same place. I think the guidance is generally that you don't want to stack your catches of floats because you're more likely to see that through the work. So the way that I'm doing this, the resulting stitch, so you can see on the round here below, the resulting stitch where I've caught the float is twisted. So I'll just show you here, right? You can see that the right leg of the stitch is not in the front, it's in the back. But I actually like that because it shows me exactly where I've caught my float. And I'm going to catch this float on the stitch before so that I'm not stacking them. So I am holding both yarns in the left hand, and let me just do this here. So I'm going to do this stitch regular. Now I'm going to catch my float of this gray yarn in the back. So I'm going to come in as if to knit. I'm going to pick up the one I want to float. I'm going to come down through them and around and pull that through. So that has caught the float, and it's also resulted in a twisted stitch. And this is where I did it on the previous round. And so now I can just come through here and knit this through the back loop, and it will properly orient the stitch, and then I can continue.